All right, this is John with NJ21st. You don't see me. I'm here with Glenn Endick and Mike Kaminsky, the Republican candidates for town council. We give every candidate the opportunity to write or show up. We've emailed everybody, so this isn't like any kind of favoritism or anything. And I want to thank you guys for taking the chance to sort of, take the opportunity to sort of come.
Thank you for coming out.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome fire pit.
They didn't have a smaller one.
So let's start with transparency, which has been a big issue, for years, both with the municipal building, Board of Education, now back to the town council again. The biggest manifestation of it this year had to do with the CMS lease agreement, where private emails were being used for business, the sewage violations, which the public only found out about because a resident was, mindful enough to go into the bidding portal and actually share that with us. So I'd like to hear concrete sort of suggestions or steps that you guys would take as town council members to sort of improve transparency. As an example, would you guys be open to, pushing for, if we're going to use official business, use township email addresses? And I'm not suggesting that, that's what you should do. I'm just kind of giving you some examples of that.
Yeah, I mean,
I honestly, I was literally about to say that, actually. I think that is pretty much step one for transparency. Like, if you're on your private email, the town people probably can't Oprah that, so they have no idea what you're talking about. And it's just not right. So, if elected, I'm sure we're given town emails, and that, I think that's like the really big basics of all this. I'm kind of surprised that even like this isn't happening right now. It's kind of shocking, but it is what it is. But yeah, no, I 100% agree.
Yeah, and I 100% agree with what Mike just said. Official business should always be using official emails. And everything, like if somebody wants to submit a FOIA request, they should be able to access all the information. I also want to have more of these with reporters where we sit down and we discuss what's happening in town. We're both truly in for the residents. We stand by responding to every email and having open office hours in the brand new municipal building. So, 2-3 times a week, I want people to come with me. They give us concerns and we draw up real solutions to bring to town council and the mayor.
Yeah. So to be honest, I think like for the most part, with a couple of exceptions, Oprah hasn't been too much of an issue with the town, although like knock on wood, right? I will say that the issue with documents is the folks who are sort of generating it, right? Like the owners of the documents, and that's where the whole private email thing sort of blew up. Going back to the sewage thing, where there were multiple violations. How do you imagine have like putting yourself in the shoes, right? How would you have handled that differently? Because there appeared to be, like, everybody had to know, everybody on the council and the mayor had to know that was happening, right? And nobody knew about that until like months later after the bidding. How do you think you guys would have handled that differently?
Yeah.
Well, I with what you said, it's kind of not fair. As a resident of this town, why shouldn't we know once, in a reasonable amount of time, like a day, a week or something after the town council's been made aware of that? It shouldn't be months or weeks or months down the line.
In some cases, years, I think.
Or years, yeah. No, I'm sure. I think it's important to keep the town informed when things happen, because we had those floods in July. Coming up with a plan for it in February is
That's right.
What's the point? It's ridiculous. We need to plan for the following spring and summer weather, but it's not fair to to the town folk that basically stuff is kept behind closed doors, and I just honestly just don't agree with that.
So, going to the not wastewater, excuse me, going to the issue of like flooding and water, which the two of you have been very sort of like on top of. One of the things that sort of came out was the our hands are tied narrative. Like, we can't do anything. It's up to the state. And then, based on what we found is, there were no DEP sort of applications or for permits to sort of do sort of anything. So I guess, and I don't know what the barrier to that was. All I know is we sent in an open request, asked for it. Nothing came back. There was no evidence of anything around that. And you guys have talked about being sort of very, much more sort of on top of these things. Again, being just two members on the council, how do you imagine influencing that?
Yeah, I mean, this is this, one of the core reasons I'm running is because my neighbors got completely demolished by the July 14th storm, and township kind of, put their hands in the air and said, well, going over if the creek was private or public. And the bottom line is that people spent thousands and thousands of dollars. I had one neighbor put $50,000 into his house to repair the storm damage, and it's just not fair that the town isn't looking into the sources. And they put together all these great solutions. There's a Rutgers program that the town could look into partnering with to solve drainage issues. They will also help with putting in permits. There's water basins that could go into the ground that could hold water and slowly release it. Like, the residents come up with the best solutions, and those are, what we should really be considering and looking to solve the drainage issues.
Like, you have anything to add to that, or?
Pretty much took the words out of my
Okay.
mouth. I mean, I agree. I'll be honest. Knock on wood. I'm pretty lucky in this part of town that flooding isn't so much of an issue, at least on my street. But where Glenn lives, it's you basically taking a canoe out in some of these big storms. And
I had no flooding issues, but at the same time, like, if my neighbor's telling me I'm about to leave town because I have anxiety every time it rains, that just, like, that stirs a passion in me that, like, we need to fix it, and we need to fix it now.
yeah, I think it's a little. No, granted, we're not on council, so I don't think we're privy to maybe 100% of all the information, but I think it's a little ridiculous to basically point fingers and say, well, it's this person's job, it's that person's job, talk to the state, talk to the county. And it's basically just we're kicking the can here. And, what is the right direction? I can't say I know for sure, but if on council, it's definitely something I want to work towards figuring out and basically making this a lot more of an efficient process instead of just call the county, call the state, call the town, call the local homeowners. There's got to be a better way than that.
So I want to move on to no bid contracts, and I want to be clear that the township has not done anything illegal in connection to no bid contracts. The issue is the amount and the volume of no bid contracts that sort of pass through the council with almost no discussion. I mean, if you just look at the last 80,000 meetings, it's just nods, and the concern or the suspicion is that they're being sort of straw pulled within their party committees and negotiated, just skirting the issues of OPMA, and then already coming to the table with their minds made up without really having the debate out in the open or getting feedback from the public. So those are two actually separate problems. One is the no bid contract, and the other is sort of that method of decision making. And I'm curious to hear sort of your thoughts on that.
Yeah.
I will honestly say I know there's a lot of no bid contracts out there. Maybe some of them are no bid, but I highly doubt that. Again, not 100% privy to everything, but I think we should definitely be working harder to try and find I don't want to say a cheaper option, but definitely a more affordable or an option that makes sense. And we should be entertaining more bids. Every homeowner does it. If you're replacing your roof, doing your deck, I mean, why would you just go to the first guy that that knocks on your door? That's not how we do it. Why should our town do it?
Yeah, I mean, there should be competitive bidding. I mean, that's what makes everything. You get the best quality for the lowest price. I mean, it just doesn't add up for me if we don't do competitive bidding. Yes, there might be a little bit of a cost to competitive bidding, but you're going to get the best quality work. I mean, I saw one street get paved multiple times, and I'm wondering, why is that? Let's just do it right the first time. Let's have multiple bids out there. Let's be competitive, because it's best for the residents. Residents come first, hands down.